In the twilight reign of King Edward III, a ragged shadow named Dick Whittington scurried through the bustling streets of London. Orphaned at a tender age, Dick remembered nothing but the sting of hunger and the icy grip of loneliness. London, once a shimmering dream in his village tales, now loomed as a labyrinth of towering indifference. He spent his days as a scullery boy in the grand house of Mr. Fitzwarren, a wealthy merchant with a heart as cold as his counting-house floor. Dick's nights were a symphony of misery. Huddled in a drafty attic, the symphony's unwelcome conductors were the squeaks and scurries of an army of rats. Sleep was a stolen moment between their nightly raids. One starlit evening, a gentleman tossed Dick a single penny for polishing his mud-caked shoes. It was a king's ransom in Dick's world. With a heart pounding with hope, he ventured to the market square. There, amidst the cacophony of hawkers and the stench of rotting vegetables, Dick saw a sight that sent a thrill through him. A scrawny, ginger cat, its emerald eyes glinting with feline intelligence, was batting playfully at a string. In that instant, Dick knew. He spent his precious penny on the cat, christening him Thomas. Thomas, unlike the rest of London, took a shine to Dick. He became his loyal companion, his furry bodyguard against the nocturnal terrors. The attic, once a battlefield, became a haven of purrs and contented naps. But fate, a fickle jester, had other plans. Mr. Fitzwarren announced a grand voyage to a faraway land. A tremor of excitement ran through the household. Even Dick, despite his lowly position, dared to dream of a sliver of adventure. The night before the ship's departure, Mr. Fitzwarren addressed his servants. Each of you, he boomed, may send one small item on this voyage, a token for good fortune. Dick's heart sank. He had nothing, not a trinket, not a scrap of cloth. Shamefaced, he mumbled, "I only have Thomas," so a cruel smirk played on Mr. Fitzwarren's lips. "Then send your cat," he scoffed, "perhaps it will catch him a fish or two." Desperation gnawed at Dick. Did he dare risk his only friend in this uncertain venture? But the alternative, another year of drudgery, was unbearable. With a tear in his eye, he entrusted Thomas to the ship's cook, a burly fellow named Bill. The following days were a blur of despair. Without Thomas, the attic felt colder, the silence deafening. Dick toiled mindlessly, haunted by the image of his friend sailing towards an unknown fate. One dreary morning, unable to bear the weight of his loneliness, he made a decision. He would run away, back to the meagre familiarity of his village. He stole away before dawn, his meagre belongings clutched in a tattered sack. The city, once a daunting maze, now seemed to mock him. As the first rays of sunlight broke through the clouds, Dick reached the outskirts of London. Exhausted and defeated, he slumped onto a weathered stone by the roadside. Suddenly, a peal of bells echoed through the crisp air. It was the deep, resonant chime of bow bells, all the way from London. As the final note faded, a strange sensation washed over Dick. He strained his ears, fancying he could hear the bells whisper. A message carried on the wind: "Turn again, Whittington, Lord Mayor of London." Dick scoffed. Lord Mayor? A ridiculous notion. Yet the sound lingered, a seed of hope taking root in his despondent heart. With a newfound resolve, he turned back towards the city that had scorned him, yet held the faint echo of a fantastical destiny. Meanwhile, aboard the ship, a drama of its own was unfolding. Thomas, far from being a mere mascot, proved to be a Mauser extraordinaire. The ship landed on the shores of a strange land, a land plagued by a relentless rodent infestation. The king, desperate and distraught, offered a mountain of gold and jewels for a solution. Bill the cook saw his chance. He presented Thomas, the unassuming ginger cat, as a magical creature sent by the gods. The king, blinded by desperation, readily agreed. Thomas, with a flick of his tail and a glint in his emerald eyes, set about his task. The palace, once overrun by vermin, became a haven of peace. The ship, laden with the king's promised bounty, set sail for England. Dick, oblivious to the drama that unfolded across the sea, continued to work diligently in Mr. Fitzwarren's house. Then, one glorious day, the ship returned. News of the magical cat spread like wildfire through London. Mr. Fitzwarren, ever the shrewd businessman, saw an opportunity. He marched into the kitchen, a sly grin plastered on his face. "Dick," he barked, "where is that wretched cat of yours? Surely with its abilities IT could fetch a handsome price." Dick's heart hammered in his chest. Could this be? A glimmer of hope pierced through the fog of his despair. He stammered, "But sir, Thomas sailed with Bill on your ship." "Mr." Fitzwarren scoffed. "Nonsense. Bill returned alone yesterday, a babbling idiot about a king and a mountain of gold. Now hand over the cat." Dick, fueled by a spark of defiance, stood his ground. "I have no cat, sir. You sent Thomas away." "Mr." Fitzwarren's face contorted in rage. He threatened, he bellowed, but Dick held firm. Just then, a commotion erupted outside. A messenger, bearing the royal seal, burst into the kitchen, breathless. "By order of His Majesty, King Edward," he declared, his voice booming through the room. "The man who possesses the valiant feline, vanquisher of rodents, is to be presented at court." The colour drained from Mr. Fitzwarren's face. Dick, bewildered yet strangely hopeful, looked at the messenger. "But sir," he stammered, "my cat is gone, on a ship." The messenger cut him off. "The ship has returned, young man, and the king awaits." Dick, still in a state of disbelief, followed the messenger to the palace. There, amidst the grandeur of the court, he saw Bill, the cook, his face flushed with nervous excitement. Beside him, perched regally on a velvet cushion, was Thomas. The cat's emerald eyes gleamed with a knowing glint as they met Dick's. The king, a portly man with a booming laugh, recounted the tale of the magical cat and the mountain of gold that awaited its owner. As Dick stepped forward, hesitant but proud, the weight of his journey from a penniless orphan to a potential hero settled upon him. He knelt before the king, extending a hand towards Thomas. The cat, with a nonchalant jump, landed on his shoulder, purring contentedly. In that moment, the whispers of the bow bells echoed in Dick's mind. Turn again, Whittington. Lord Mayor of London. Was this the beginning of the fantastical destiny the bells had hinted at? The king, impressed by Dick's humility and the cat's obvious affection for him, declared him the rightful recipient of the reward. Riches beyond imagination were his. But more importantly, he had earned the respect of the court, the gratitude of a king, and the unwavering loyalty of a brave feline companion. Dick's life, once shrouded in despair, had taken a dramatic turn. Yet, the true test of his character, the challenges and opportunities that awaited him with his newfound wealth, were yet to unfold. The legend of Dick Whittington, the boy who dared to dream and the cat who changed his destiny, was just beginning.